งั้นเดี๋ยวเราพาไปทัวร์
ได้เลยค่ะไปกันเลยค่ะ
อยากมาเป็นลอนดอนเนอร์อยากใช้ชีวิตติดหรูบ้างติดชิคก็เลยเลือกมาเรียนที่ควีนส์แมรี่นะครับ
สุดท้ายหนึ่งพูดถึงโก้หน่อยละกันนะคะ
ได้ค่ะพี่ออมก็ให้คำแนะนำตั้งแต่การเลือกหลักสูตรการเลือกมหาลัยว่าสนใจแบบไหนอันไหนที่เหมาะกับเรานะคะแล้วก็การเขียน SOP พี่ออมก็ทุบรีดให้อีกทีนะคะว่าSOP ที่เราส่งไปเนี่ยโอเคไหมอะไรอย่างเงี้ยอยู่ที่นี่ก็ยังสามารถที่จะปรึกษาพี่ได้อีกค่ะ
ก็ไม่ทอดทิ้งกันนะ
ไม่ทอดทิ้งกันค่ะมาถึงที่นี่ค่ะ
Thank you so much for coming today. I just wanted to introduce myself briefly before I start the presentation. My name is Megan. I'm the Deputy Head of International Student Recruitment here at Queen Mary University of London. So today I'm just going to run through a presentation to give you a little bit more about our university, the courses that we have to offer, where we're located, and kind of a little bit more about student life on campus. So I wanted to start with a brief overview of our global profile. So studying at Queen Mary, we have over 28,000 students. And of those 28,000 students, 39% of our students are from overseas and 11% of our students are from the EU. Of that percentage, it is made up of 162 different nationalities. So we are very proud that our students are coming from all corners of the world to study with us here in London and at a few of the other campuses we have around the world as well. I also wanted to highlight that we do have offices based overseas, and colleagues and members of my team are based in China, Malaysia, India, Pakistan, and the US. So talking here a little bit about some of our statistics that we are most proud of. We are first in London for student satisfaction, according to the National Student Survey of 2020. We are ranked 11th in dentistry in the QS World Rankings 2020 and first in London for medicine for the Complete University Guide and the Guardian University Guide 2021. We are 5th in the UK for the quality of our research outputs, and we are very proud of the research that we do here at Queen Mary. And we have invested £105 million in our facilities in the last 5 years. I know that traveling can be very difficult at the moment, but if any of you are available to come to London as part of your decision-making process for university or for postgraduate study, we would be very, very happy to welcome you here so that you can see some of our amazing facilities in person. So we are a member of the Russell Group. The Russell Group is an association of 24 public research universities in the United Kingdom. And the Russell Group universities have a huge social, economic, and cultural impacts locally across the UK and across the globe. They produce more than 2/3 of world-leading research. And support a number of jobs. So this is a group that we are very, very proud of being a member of. And some of the most famous institutions that you have heard of are also members of the Russell Group. So to talk a little bit more specifically about the courses that we offer, we have 3 faculties here at Queen Mary. We have Humanities and Social Sciences, we have Science Engineering, and we have Barts and the London School of Medicine and Dentistry. And in those 3 faculties, we have 19 schools and institutes. And you'll see here the names of all of the different schools that we have. So we do offer a number of different programs across a number of different disciplines. And hopefully we have one that will be the right fit for you. So to talk a little bit more about where we are located, let's start with London. So London is the capital city and the biggest city here in the UK, and it is known as the political, cultural, economic, and financial center of the UK. So we'll make that a little bit more specific to where we're located, and that is in the East End of London. So the East End is a part of London, and like all big cities, a huge city will have lots of different neighborhoods with lots of different feels and things going on. So we've got the Stratford Olympic Park, we've got Stratford Shopping Centre, the city and Canary Wharf are all in East London here, as well as areas that are, kind of social and cultural hubs like Shoreditch and Hackney. All right, so talking a little bit more about where our campus is located in East London, and to kind of orient you a little bit as to how the campus fits in more widely with the city. Mile End is our kind of biggest campus here in London. So that has our undergraduate accommodation, and we'll see a little bit more about what the Mile End campus has on our next slide. But you can also see here where Whitechapel is for the Royal London Hospital and Barts and the London School of Medicine. So that's about a 15, maybe 10-minute walk between the two. And then we do have 3 other campuses across London, which I will touch on in a bit in the future. So again, just to give you an idea of what our Mile End campus is actually like, you can see this on sort of the right-hand quadrant of the page. So it has our student residences, it has teaching blocks, it's got our library, it has our student union, it has the gym, cafes, it has like a student bar. It's where lots of student societies will meet. It also has you'll be able to see the canal right there. So that runs along one side of the campus. It's really, really peaceful, very beautiful to kind of sit out there. I go out there often for my lunch and look across onto Mile End Park, which is beautiful and so green. But then the second you step onto Mile End Road, it really feels like you are in London. So you can see there kind of in the distance, Canary Wharf, just again to orient you a little bit to where we are in the city, but kind of having that balance of the community on campus and then all of the opportunities that London has to offer is a balance that we find our students really get a lot out of. I know that many of you will be interested in postgraduate study. And for postgraduate study, we have accommodation. It's about a 20-minute bus ride. It's also walkable. I used to walk it as part of my commute to work as well. But once you get onto campus, depending on what courses you're studying, it is a great way to build that community. And then to highlight some of our other campuses. So we've got 5 campuses across the city of London. The Mile End campus, which is highlighted as number 1, was the one that we were just looking at pictures of, and that's in Zone 2. Barts and the London School of Medicine and Dentistry is also in Zone 2 near Whitechapel. And then if you look at those other 2 marked as numbers 3 and 4, Chartered House Square is the campus which are going to be mainly for postgraduate studies in medicine, and Lincoln's Inn Fields is going to be for our postgraduate law students. So those 2 are in Zone 1, and Barts and the London School of Medicine and Dentistry and our main campus are in Zone 2. I don't know if any of you have had the chance to visit London, but again, just to give you a little bit of a way to orient yourself as to where we are, if you look in Zone 1, everything kind of in that little bottle shape is in Zone 1. So that is going to be Buckingham Palace. It's going to be the London Eye, Tower Bridge is right there. All of those kinds of areas are right in the center. So if you go to Oxford Circus, for example, on the Central Line, that's about a 15 to 20-minute ride, I would say, from Oxford Circus to our main campus on Mile End. Or if you are studying on our postgraduate law campus, that's really about a 20-minute walk between Oxford Circus and Holborn. So really, really central, but we are glad that we do have the space for our main campus and to, like I said, build that student community. And again, just touching on what is studied where and breaking that down. So, take a look and see which of those campuses you think you might be studying on. All right. So London was recently voted first in the world for international students by QS Best Student Cities. We're very biased, of course, being based here, but I was a student in London myself many years ago, and I can say that it is an amazing place to be a student. So as an international student, what will benefit from your experience while you're studying here in London? So you heard me mention this earlier that we are very close to Stratford. Stratford has the Olympic Park. So this is where the Olympics were held in 2012. It's now home to West Ham United if you are a football fan. And in the left-hand corner, you can see there the Westfield Shopping Center. So it is a huge shopping mall where you can find lots of international brands, lots of places to shop. But most of our students find it most helpful when they first arrive to London and they need to find a place to find things like pots and pans or bed sheets or a winter coat, whatever it happens to be, you can almost certainly find it at Stratford. And then this is looking a little bit more at those areas of Shoreditch and Hackney. So really great places to go out and experience what a different part of London is like. So this is where you are going to find lots of trendy restaurants. You're going to find great bars, play things like food trucks, lots of public art, great coffee, lots of different things for students to see. And, you know, there's some great markets as well. You know, that's a great way to kind of spend a weekend and go take a look at some flowers right by the canal. It's really, really beautiful. So talking a little bit about theaters and cinemas, of course, London is very famous for its West End productions as well. So you'll be able to go see, you know, some long-standing theater like Phantom of the Opera, The Lion King, Les Miserables. But of course, there are lots of smaller scale productions as well. And, you know, new musicals and new plays are coming to London all of the time. And museums and galleries, of course, this is another huge benefit of being in London. So you'll be able to see here the National History Museum, the British Museum, the V&A, and the Natural Portrait Gallery. Another thing that is great about London and the museums and galleries is most of them are going to be free. Not all of them are, but the vast majority of them will be. And I think that is an amazing thing because it gives you the opportunity to just kind of wander in, look at a few things and wander back out. You don't have the whole kind of pressure of having to see the whole museum or to make the most of a visit. It's really there and available for you to kind of dip in and out of whenever you've got the time and there's something that you want to see. So arts, culture, and sports are, of course, a huge thing here in London. You know, if you take a look at the right of your screen, you can see the NFL in London and the NBA in London. So we do have representation of US sports here, but of course we have football, Wimbledon, the cricket is a very popular sport here as well. And, you know, some of the London teams are the most famous ones, including Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, and West Ham, which I pointed out is not too far from us here in Stratford. So restaurants and bars, also a really important part of kind of the London culture here. Lots of great places to eat and great places to eat from all around the world too. And then just a brief chat. So you'll see some of these pictures are the bottom two are from the holiday season. So the lights that go up in London relatively shortly now are absolutely beautiful. The city is so magical at Christmas time. It starts to get darker a little earlier in the evenings and the city really starts to sparkle. For Harrods, if you see that up on the top left-hand corner, of course, very famous, but it does look like that all of the time. And of course, there aren't always student discounts across everything, but there will be student discounts. Sometimes you get them in shops like this, but you will also get them perhaps at the cinema or for plays and musicals. Lots of different places offer student discounts. So again, a great thing about being a student here in the city. And I mentioned a little bit earlier about the markets that you can find here in the East End. This is Borough Market, which is down by the South Bank. It is an amazing place to spend a weekend. You can sample foods from all around the world. They've got beautiful things. And it's just a kind of a great way to spend some time with a coffee or a tea, kind of taking in the bustle, and then you're right next to the River Thames and some beautiful churches. So it's a great way to experience the city. And parks as well. So I know that you saw it in the picture of the Mile End Park and the picture of the campus, but London is actually a very green city. So this, I believe, is St. James's Park, which is right by sort of the Foreign Office and the Houses of Parliament. You can see the London Eye there in the background, but they are also a great way to, spend some time. If the hustle and bustle of London gets a bit too much or a bit too busy, the parks are a great way to recharge and just to kind of spend some time outside. So when the weather here in London gets very nice in kind of the spring and the summer, people spend so much time in the parks and being outdoors. It's really beautiful. So also kind of the last couple things that I've talked about, parks, of course, are also free. So, really kind of London can be a great place to experience lots of things that don't have to cost a lot of money, but you can have a great time. So coming back again to our campus and what we offer here, I touched on most of these things already. Our gym, our students union, we've got our advice and counseling team, which you may encountered first when they're able to give some advice for international students who are applying for their visas, that kind of thing. But they provide many more services here on campus. We've got our health center, cafes and restaurants, and career center. Other services that we have available are a laundrette, banking, postal service. We have a chaplaincy. Our disability and dyslexia service is based here on campus. Of course, we have campus security, and we also have things like printing. And then talking a little bit about the Students' Union. So the Students' Union are your representatives on campus, and the Students' Union is also the organization that runs the clubs and societies, our sports clubs, the gym, campus restaurants and bars, and they have a social events program. So when you come to London and you're kind of spending your first week when you've moved here trying to figure out if you wanted to join any clubs or societies or how involved you wanted to be on campus, the Students' Union will have representatives out from lots of their societies so that you can decide if there are any groups that you would really like to be a part of to enhance your time here on campus. And then just touching on the different societies that we have. So we have a number of societies, and they really vary from, everything like Harry Potter to Model United Nations to, language-based groups. Again, it just really depends. And my colleague here has pulled out some of our different student societies. So in case you are feeling a little homesick or you wanted to talk to somebody from home, it's also great for you to connect to people because, of course, you're going to be studying here in London. But if you are moving back after you complete your studies, ways to kind of build our alumni groups once you've returned home. And then I just wanted to touch really closely on student support contacts. So there are a lot of services here that will support and advise students. So we want everybody's student experience to be the best that it can be. And there are a lot of different ways that we can do that. So each school will have its own student support officer, and you can find that information on the website. But again, as I mentioned, our advice and counseling center can also provide support, and we do have student-based organizations that can provide support to students as well. And if you wanted to get in touch with our Unibuddy contacts before you start or as you're doing your research onto which university is the best fit for you, I would really recommend checking out Unibuddy, which you can find on our website, because they are our Unibuddy students are the students who are going to be currently here on campus and happy to answer questions about what their life is like as a student. So of course, you can always talk to somebody like me from our international student recruitment team. You can talk to Mango, but if you really wanted to get a student's point of view on something, Unibuddy is a great way to do that. And touching on accommodation here, we have over 2,500 rooms and 500 rooms for postgraduate. The fees are going to range from 130 to 205 pounds per week for a single room, and options can include ensuite bathrooms. So that means that you'll have your whole room to yourself, and lots of our accommodations are laid out a little bit more like apartment buildings or like flats. So, you know, a number of students would share a communal area, they would share a hall. So even though you do have a space that will be very much yours, you know, you will have people that you will be living with in accommodation, and a lot of students really enjoy that. Meal plans are available. Many of our students do choose to cook for themselves, and it's important to note that costing will include all of your bills and the cleaning of communal areas as well as Wi-Fi. So I would always recommend that students do consider living in accommodation, whether that is they're coming as undergraduate students or as postgraduate students. And one of those reasons is it's just going to make your life a lot easier. So you will come off the plane, you will know exactly where you need to go. You don't need to set up any additional contacts or contracts, or, you know, do any research into what part of the city or what the transport links are like. Everything is going to be taken care of. So you can really start to settle into the Queen Mary community and your life as a student much more easily. And then something, of course, that is always very important to students, thinking ahead a little bit as to their career success. And this is our career center. So again, I would encourage students who are looking for work or who are thinking about internships to get involved with our career centers as early as possible. You know, it's you get out of it what you put into it. So again, we have some excellent resources, and you can see here a little bit some of those opportunities that we have through the Career Center for our students. So it is there. We have teams that are there to provide fantastic support, and we would really encourage students to make the most of it. And then lastly here, our entry requirements, and I have put our entry requirements for Thai students here. You will find on our course finder lots of really helpful information, but just to give you an idea of what the equivalencies are that map over to the Thai system, and please do check the entry requirements for your desired program and see how that fits in alongside here. So I think that wraps up all of my kind of slides. I know that was maybe a very quick kind of run through, but let's go ahead and I'll be really happy to answer any questions that you've got. You can pop them in the chat. Baz is here to help, and you know we're happy to talk about anything you wanted to know more about.